Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. I am Justine Daydream. So, yeah, let's get started. I am here to talk to you today about our favorite, our one and only fire-breathing bitch queen's ex-bae. He's not her own one and only ex-bae, but she is our one and only. Kail Westphal. In this book right here, Tower of Dawn. I, like pretty much everyone in Tumblr, was not really interested in reading a book about Kail Westphal. There. I said it. I threw it out there. I wasn't a big fan of Nesryn. She didn't have what Lysandra had as in terms of personality. She did not have what Aelin had. So I just wasn't interested. I wasn't interested in reading a book about Nesryn Phalique, and I wasn't interested in reading a book about Kail Westphal. I was on the fence about it, but I went into it because I am a Sarah J. Maas fan. I love ACOTAR. The series, A Court of Mist and Fury, Rise's forever husband for every woman out there. I know this. So I wanted to read the new installment of Throne of Glass. It was originally supposed to be a novella. I was like, cool, I'll read a little novella. Turned into a full-fledged book. I'm like, all right, let's give it a shot. I trust Sarah. All right, Sarah J. Maas, if that is your real name. I'm just kidding, girl. These are my notes. Let's start. First things first. No Aelin until the very end. I didn't need that reminder that they gave me at the very end. I already knew. So, that hurt. But, next thing I want to talk about, Nesryn and Kail Westphal go to the southern continent. And they are going to convince the Kagan or Kagan, I'm going to say Kagan because it sounds better, to convince them to ally with Aelin and friends in war. Aelin and co, as they say on Tumblr, in the war. And we get there, and Kail is filled with self-loathing. As usual. When isn't he? It's kind of annoying. And Nesryn is just being very bland, okay? And it starts off with her being like, I actually feel way more comfortable here. I don't even understand why my dad moved to Adarlan when we're so clearly meant to be here in this beautiful place. And it's just like, she came home. She felt at home. I knew right then that Nesryn wasn't going back. If she could help it. She fell in love with this country and someone else. At the beginning of the book, you do get introduced to the Kagan and all his kids. And Sarah says, in the book, like, there's supposed to be 6 kids, but there's only 5 kids. And there's, like, these white sheets everywhere. And it's, like, pretty, it's very apparent that someone's dead. One of the siblings is dead. They go into it and they're like, oh, who's dead? It's the youngest sister, who was like 17 at the time of her death, Tomelun. I'm butchering that, I apologize. So they introduce you to everyone. It is as follows. I think Sartak is the oldest. Sartak is the oldest. Argan, Hasir, Shireen, and Duva. And Tomelun is deceased. And, they're like, how dare you come here asking for shit when our sister just died and you didn't even give us any mourning, like, oh, we're so sorry to hear that. Or, not even a, wedding gift for Duva, the second youngest, Prego, as forever pregs. Preggers. And they're, super rude. So, actually, we're going to tell you that you don't know, homegirl, Rifthold, is shredded to bits. So, this book starts off like, hey, just letting you know, that thing that you're like, come help us, actually is gone. So, Rifthold is sacked. And we all know who sacked the city. It was in EOS. This takes place right at the beginning, where EOS starts off. Basically, they go, Kail, Nesryn, Go get us some allies. They're like, got it. This book starts off, Tower of Dawn, at this point, and everybody's kind of aware that, like, you know, like, it's necessary, and they trust them. He's filled with self-loathing. They're like, we're gonna send someone to fix you, because you are currently disabled in a wheelchair. And they call upon the healer lady, the main healer lady of the Torres Esme, and she calls upon, shock of all shocks, not really, Irene Towers. I want to say it's Irene. I don't like the way Urine sounds, because it sounds like urine, so I don't like that. I'm not going to say that. So Irene Towers. If you read the Assassin's Blade novellas, you know that Selena Sardathian helped Irene, gave her money and encouragement to go to the Southern Continent. When I read that novella, I read it after Empire of Storms. I knew, even then, before starting this book, that she was about to be the one to heal him. So they made that seem like it was a big shock, and it just wasn't. It was point blank obvious, and I was a little bit like, I don't know, I wasn't impressed by that, and I'm so impressed. I was so impressed in Heir of Fire. I was so impressed in EOS, and I don't know, this was just a little bit of like, they kept pushing that, Sarah kept pushing that, like, yes, Irene Towers, mysterious person, encouraged her, and it's like, is it supposed to be a mystery? Irene Towers, lo and behold, is supposed to fix this Lord of Adarlan. She's like, no, I don't want to. His people kill my people. I'm not down. And they're like, just go. Like, this is your final test to see if you're really ready to be a healer. Like, if you can push past this and, you know, get to the core of you, which is to harm no one. So she's like, well, let me go talk to him real quick and let him know what's up. So she goes down there. First thing, she's all sassy right away. She's like, roll over, pulling down his pants and stuff. And I'm like, girl, slow down. And he's obviously very uncomfortable. And Nezrin's just like bland as always. Nezrin. And so it's pretty obvious they're going to fall in love. I mean, if you've ever read a romance novel, I mean, it always starts off like, I hate you. And then it's like, no, actually, I love you so much. So, Irene Towers, K.O. Westfall, called it right off the bat. Self-loathing forever. So you meet Sartaq, and he seems level-headed. He seems okay. We like him. You meet Argan. Right away, you're like, he is typical, like, anti-Aelin. He deals in information. However, a lot of his information gets put out there throughout the book, and he also, like, blows it a lot. So I was just kind of like, okay. And then Hasir, who is a woman who is not pretty, but is well-dressed, and she has a lover, Reyna, who used to be a prostitute, but Hasar saved her. Okay. Then you have Duva, pregnant, just got married to a dude who seems smitten with her. She seems smitten with him. You're like, that's so cute. Love it. We get introduced to all these people. Sartaq is like, hey, I know something's up. Shireen's like, I know something's up too. Shireen's like, I think, I'm just telling you, K.O. Westfall, that my sister's death was not a suicide. And everybody's like, really? Okay. So Shireen gets private with Nezrin and with Chaol and says, I believe that Temelun's death was not a suicide. That is what they had said it was, a suicide. And Chaol's like, possibly. Nezrin's like, possibly. Nezrin's like, what I'm going to do is go into the city and see if I can track any Valg, because I was doing that all up in Rifthold, left and right, everywhere. So I'm pretty skilled at that, you know. So Sartaq's like, okay, sure. But then he's like, I'll go with you. So they like hunting Valg together and stuff, and I'm like, okay, like, I'm getting vibes here. I'm getting vibes. I didn't ship Chaol and Nezrin like that. I just don't ship them like that. I don't care. Whatever. So it was pretty apparent Kaol and Irene were going to be a thing. And so through the whole book, they're like working towards this goal, but it's a little bit frustrating because you already know that they're going to end up together. They're just both being stubborn about it. And she's like, well, he's the son of a Darlin and I could never be with him. And it's just like, not everyone from a Darlin is going to be a bad person. Obviously, he fought with Aelin and Dorian, so against the king. So how is he? What makes you think that he's just your typical Darlin soldier when he fought against the king, the guy who was doing all the bad stuff? But all right, bitch. So Irene Towers, she's biracial. I love that. People of color represent. So Irene is like, I'm not gonna fix you. Kaol is like, I know you're not gonna fix me because I saw that slit on your neck and I know you have that Finharo accent, so I know that atrocities were probably committed to you, so I'm not gonna help you. And she thinks about it. She takes some time, takes a step back from the situation, reevaluates, decides she is gonna help Kaol Westfall, but he's super difficult at the beginning. Like, it's such a trope. It's such a book movie trope for this disabled person to be like bitchy, kind of. I just saw this movie Me Before You, and it was the same thing. The disabled person was like, you know, at the beginning, and then over time they start to warm up to their caregiver, and I just think it's bullshit. Usually when you're injured and you meet the person who's going to help you get better, you're nice to them. So that's kind of a book movie trope, but whatever. I'll roll with that. So the Kagan and his wife, we hardly hear from. They're in mourning, so we don't get any information. I'm like, that's super weird that you don't see them or read about them very much in the book, but okay. Nesryn and Sartok. Sartok takes her flying. He tells her, meet me up in the sky and I'm gonna give you some info. So come to the Eyrie and I'm gonna fly you on my big bird thing and I'm gonna give you some info. And she's like, cool. She goes flying. Right away, I know. I'm like, okay, this is about to be her bae, because if a man takes me flying, that's my bae. So I knew right away that was bae. And I was like shipping it because I liked him. He seemed like a strong male character with something about him. The way he was written just made him seem like a good guy straight from the jump. So I was like, ships it. So they go off. They go to like those the lands where like the people fly. Dear God, I just forgot what it's called. So they go to where, like, the Eyrie, and he goes to, like, his Hearth Mother's area or whatever, but the place is huge, and there's a ton of people there, and they all fly the big birds. So his bird is named Kadara. I'm like, smaller than wyverns, and, like, not as vicious as wyverns, so I was kind of like, ooh, in a fight, that's gonna be, we'll have to see. So he takes her flying on Kadara. They get to know each other. They're kind of feeling each other. And he's like, I want to go to see my Hearth Mother. And he's like, I want you to go too. And she's like, well, when are you going? He's like, soon. And she's like, well, how long do I have to decide? And then the dude's coming and he's packing things onto Kadara. And she's like, oh, right now is when I'm supposed to decide. And she's like, okay. So then she writes a little note to her family. It's like real sweet. Like, I love you. Then she writes a note to Kaol. She's like, I ain't making no promise. You ain't make me no promise. Even if we did make a couple promises, I'm not keeping them no more. So, because she's kind of already seen him with Irene Towers, and she knows, like, they're falling in love. And Nesryn's also like, I'm tired of being, like, his rebound. Like, he rebounded off that first girl he dated before Aelin with Nesryn. He rebounded off Aelin with Nesryn. Then he rebounded, gonna be, like, what, for the third time with Irene Towers? So Nesryn's like, nah. I'm taking off with this handsome prince. Bye. We're going flying. So they go, and it's like a rough journey, but it's like, it's all good because she's tough. And he's like, I like that because you're tough. She gets there. His Hearth Mother and his Hearth Sister are like way cool. It's kind of like when you see Rhys in A Court of Mist and Fury with Mor his cousin, and you see him with the boys, Cassian and Azriel. You get that vibe from Borte and the Hearth Mother. I can't pronounce her name, so I'm gonna call her the Hearth Mother the whole time. So that's like his family, and she gets kind of introduced to his family, and she really likes him. She gets along with him. She finds out that everybody knows that she's like this badass archer, and she's like, oh, yes, that's me. Arrows for days, bitch. And it's really cute. You can tell she gets along with him. She loves the open air. She's not a city girl. She's from the city, but she doesn't love the city. It becomes very obvious she would be very comfortable there. And I'm like, better one be. Get that ring. So they're going to discover more about these spiders that live in the like desolate mountain waste kind of thing. And they discover that these spiders are not just spiders, they're Volg. And you know, who do they meet along the way but our boy? He's not our boy really, but he becomes our boy. Falcon Enner. So I was like, that name is so familiar. No one trusts him, but I'm like, his name is really familiar. Okay. Then they're like, he's old, but he's actually young because he sold a bunch of his, like, 20 years of his life for some spider silk. And I'm like, oh, yes, now I recall. This is the dude from Assassin's Blade. So I actually stopped what I was doing. I stopped right then. I went back to Assassin's Blade. I went back to the story with Ansel of Briarcliff, the desert one. And I, like, flipped through the pages until I came to the point about the merchant who gives Aelin some cider silk that she has attached to the inside of her, like, outfit that Robin Hamill gave her. She gets that sewn into her suit, and it saves her on more than one occasion. So, that's Falcon Enner. Little did I know, okay, that there was going to be more twisties and turnsies with this, guys. And I really, really like this part of the book. So good job, Sarah. I really enjoyed that. That was just a great plot twist. We later find out that Falcon is a shapeshifter because he saves Sartok and Nezran. And Nezran is like, you're not going to kill this guy who saved me. Because Sartok's like, you didn't tell me you were a shapeshifter. I know you're shady and shifty as fuck. So Nezran is like, you're not going to kill him. I know another shapeshifter. She's cool. Just chill, man. Just chill. Sartok's like, obviously, for this girl I'm kind of falling for, I'm a chill. And as we learn more about Falcon, we come to realize that Falcon is possibly related to our Boo Bear, our sweetheart, Lysandra. So he's her uncle, is what it looks like, and we're all excited. I know I'm excited. I know you're excited. We, the collective we of this universe, are excited to see that moment where Lysandra meets Falcon, because he's not a bad guy, and he's obviously really wants to have that family, and I think we all feel that Lysandra deserves that. After everything she's been put through in her lifetime, I just think we all feel like she deserves it. So, I'm excited for that. It didn't happen in this book. Whatevs. Okay. Duva. The, second to youngest sister, now youngest sister because Tamaline has been killed. And, her and her husband seem like they're in love, and she is pregnant, and so no one suspects her. Duva is bad guy, okay? Duva is the one with the Volg in her. I'm just telling you right now. That's who it was. That was plot twist. That was a great plot twist. So, point two. Point 2 for Sarah J. Maas, because that was a great plot twist, and I enjoyed that. Okay. Borte has a boo. Speaking of Nezran and Sartok, they do fall in love, and it's pretty apparent even before the words are spoken, and they're spoken in a death situation, which is typical Sarah J. Maas. So Borte, his hearth sister, Sartok's hearth sister, has a thing going with this guy Uren, and it's really cute. There was kind of a like a competition, a yearly competition, when he was 20 and she was 17, throughout like all these Aries and everything. And she beats him. And me, a romantic, I think that's when he fell in love with her. Because she was like, si se puede. So, they have this like biting, arguing relationship similar to Rowan and Aelin. And I know we all love Rowan, so... You know, Borte and Yeren, I dig it. Things we find out in this book. Maeve is a Vogue queen. That's right. Maeve is a Vogue queen. A Vogue queen, yes. So, I didn't know there were girl Vogues until right now. I thought that they reproduced asexually. TBH. It expands further in the book about how Irene believes that the Vogues, are parasites, are parasitically passed. And the ring is kind of like when you get a parasite through eating a bad piece of meat. It's just kind of a carrier. They slip it on you. It allows the implantation. And then the Vogue actually feeds on the darkness within you. So, in order to get rid of a Vogue, you have to come to terms with the darkness in you. And that was a very powerful message, and I really enjoyed that. We find out that ancient Fae set up the Torres Esme and put a healing group of Fae there that then intermixed with the humans to create what look like healers, like not Fae, but with some magic in them, and the magic in them being healers. Be healing magic, which is great. We find out that our girl, Irene Towers, did definitely have a relative in there. Her family member, Yafa Towers. The book is heavily about Chaol Westfall's disability. And that was kind of beautiful, but I will tell you the truth. I believe that they were going to heal Chaol Westfall. And I was kind of like, this is offensive to disabled people because some people will never walk again, okay? And Chaol Westfall goes through this struggle. This person who maybe will read this book, who is disabled, will identify with him and his struggle. And then Chaol Westfall will magically get healed. And this person with this disability there's no magic cure because in the real world, there's no magic. So I was a little bit like not really... I didn't like the whole wheelchair thing. That's why, because I felt it was going to go a certain way. At the end of the day, it didn't go that way. And kudos to Sarah J. Maas, because it did not go that way. And I want to reread the book with that in mind, pay closer attention to the situations in which Chaol's disability does, stop him from doing things as quickly as a person who can walk. Because during those times I skipped over it because I felt almost like if he's just going to walk again, this is kind of unnecessary. But actually, at the end of the day, Sarah J. Maas, I guess, is a bitch with a heart of gold. And she leaves Chaol with his life intertwined with Irene. He can't walk unless her powers are bracing him, similar to Lorcan and Elide. It's cool. I like that. So, at the end of the day, when Irene saves Chaol, the god of balances is like, look, this guy, he's not going to walk again. It's not humanly possible for you to heal him. So, I'm going to need you to pay up. And Irene's like, whatever you want. And later on, we found out all the healers are like, you dumb bitch. So, Irene's like, yes, whatever you want. I love this guy. Okay. And she ends up tying her life to his. So when he dies, she dies. I'm like, okay, cool. So, very Notebook. Very cute. But I didn't feel Irene and Chaol's relationship the way I viscerally felt Feyre and Rhys's relationship. The way I viscerally feel Aelin and Rowan's relationship. It was like a whole love story. This whole book was like a love story that just didn't feel right. Alright, other things I want to talk about. The healers, the Fae descended healers, the Silba Best healers, okay, they have the power, which is what Irene discovers, to eradicate the Valg. And we see that when she is eradicating the Valg parasite from Chaol slowly over time and also helping heal him so he can walk again. And we also see this when she takes the Valg and burns the Valg up that was in Duva, who is pregnant. At that point, that's what we learn, that the Silba Blessed healers have this ability to eradicate the Valg. And that is why the Valg really want to keep, that's why they slaughtered all the healers in Darlin. And that becomes very clear. When we find out that Maeve is a Valg, shocker of shockers, sorry, that really was a good twist there. That really blindsided me, and I have no clue why, because I'm usually pretty good about picking up a plot here and there. How do these healers, these Silba Blessed, the owl is a popular theme throughout the book. The owl is everywhere. It's the owl of Silba. The owl of Silba. How do these Silba Blessed healers, how can they positively affect the Valg? How? That is not explained. Or did I miss it? Comment below if I missed it. But I read this whole thing, and that wasn't explained. If it's still a mystery, it's still a mystery. There was no Aelin in this book, except for very little at the end. She was missed. There was a lot of allusion to her, a lot of reference to her, but no Aelin. One thing that bugged me, okay? It bugged me. These drawings, I think they were done by Charlie Bowater. I don't know. I follow her on Tumblr and Pinterest, Sarah, and I'm pretty sure these were done by him. Okay, so that's Aelin. Nope, that's Aelin. Sorry, my finger. I can't see. This is Aelin. And then this is Faye Manon. I was like, okay, Chaol and Nezrin are here. And then Aelin and Manon are here. So, Aelin and Manon, they're going to be in this book. And I was a little bit like, and they weren't. So, yeah, they weren't in this book. In summary, Tower of Dawn was a pretty good book. I enjoyed it. Chaol and Irene, I think they are cute together. I did not mention Shirrim very much because he was obviously just kind of that guy to make Chaol a little jealous and to push them towards each other a little bit. So he just didn't seem integral, but maybe he'll pop up in the future. I'm not sure. I like the book. I would read it again. I think I am definitely going to read it again. I would recommend it. This is a fun book. This is not the end-all be-all of novels. This is not Tolkien fantasy. This is fun fantasy. So if you like fun fantasy, then I recommend Sarah J. Maas. She's a great author. And I think it speaks to her writing that she makes so many people like, oh, I don't know if I want to read a book about Chaol Westfall, and then end up loving this book about Chaol Westfall and really being proud of him for the strides that he made and forgiving himself, forgiving Aelin, forgiving everybody else, and living with his darkness and bringing him and Irene together. And I love Nezrin and Sartok together. So I'm looking forward to the future. There were some things I didn't mention. This book is huge. I was not going to be able to fit everything in, so sorry. I could talk for weeks about this. If you like this video, thumbs up me and subscribe and let me know what other books you want me to read and also talk to you about, because I love to read and I love to talk about reading. So, holla at your girl. Okay, thank you.